As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be
Oh
a
man,
home
it's
run.
8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a...
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody. For whoever wants to listen, I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by the one and only Pete McGee. What's up, dude?
What a long day for the bros.
You say that again.
What a long day for the bros.
Yeah, this is episode 3 this evening.
I thought you were going to make me say it 3 times.
No, I was going to, but this is our 3rd episode of the night. And I was like, nah, we can move it right along because we started out with Roslick. Then we had a lovely time with the one and only Ryan Bailey. We recapped kind of everything that's on right now. And now we have to top it off with a little RHOC reunion. And look, we're not complaining. We're just giving you a fair warning that when we do this back to back to back to back, it tends to get a little wacky by hour 3, and we're on like hour 4.
Is this our three-peat? Our first three-peat?
I feel like we've done another similar one where we had an episode, did a guest spot, and then had another episode.
Yeah, maybe we did. Yeah, it's been a while, so
It's been a while.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, hey, everybody out there, you enjoy because we're delirious.
Yeah, and it didn't help that I ran out of notebooks, so I had to get an old notebook and write it on the back of the pages that I didn't use. No, it's fine. It's super organized, and I know exactly where it goes because I had to skip a few pages because I used the back, so I folded them. See, if you're not watching YouTube, you're really missing out on some prop work right now, and I pity you. I pity you. I pity the fool.
I knew that was coming.
Which is a great time to say, hey, if you're not following us on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button. It helps us out immensely, and we greatly appreciate your support on YouTube.
Patriotism.
Nope, that's not the word either. Your support on the tube. But we're here to talk a little RHOC reunion part 2, which did not disappoint. This season continues to hit every single week. We're going on week 19 of 0 clunker episodes, and that has to be a record, at least in our tenure in the Bravo sphere. So I think we're setting
half a year. Has this been on for 6 months?
That's every time we do like a RHOC or a Beverly Hills, it does feel like it goes on for 6 to 7 months.
It's almost 6 months. Yeah.
What's 19 weeks for
26 is 6 months.
Yeah, it's like close to 6 months. Wow. We invest a lot of time into this, and I'm proud of us. Yeah. But anyway, let's not dilly-dally about because there's no telling how quickly we'll decline. And we need to get to a lot of business in this episode. But we start out with Jen and Emily. It's the culmination of the conversation they had last week. This is somewhat of my sticking point for Emily in this whole episode. Why do you care so much? Why do you need Jen to say that? Just say we made bad choices. You made some bad choices and move on. I don't know what we talked about it last week. I'm not going to keep beating this dead horse, but it does carry over into the rest of the episode. What is your beef with everybody else? Why are you so invested in everyone else's life when you really didn't give us much of your own this season? Like, we didn't get a whole lot of storyline out of Emily, but she's very concerned about everybody else's that she doesn't agree with.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't understood it since day one. As soon as Jen's finances came into play, all the Ryan things came into play, Emily has been trying to, it's almost like the Tamra school of tough love, if you will, but it really just comes off as stay out of my fucking business. Just let me be. And I get it. I understand it because when Jen came on the screen last year, she had, a whole backstory about how she was having an emotional affair with Ryan and everybody was judging her for that. And you were talking about her finances and there was just like so much involved. And I get that, one of the typical fallbacks for a housewife with no real storyline is, well, I'm just going to go after her. I'm just going to get involved in her business and that'll give me enough that I can keep going through this season. And it seems like that's, Emily kind of went through waves where she was involved and then kind of took a step back and even had some sort of like self-realizing moment of maybe I do need to stay out of this, and apologizes because she grew up with nothing and she was projecting. But now you're sitting on the reunion stage doing away with all of that good work that you did. All that good faith that you were dealing in is gone because for whatever reason, you're standing there up on a podium saying, hey, Jen, you need to do this. I don't understand why you do that. It's like you apologized to her for doing exactly that. So I don't understand that.
12 weeks ago. And like, that's the thing. I've always liked Emily. I've always liked Emily until like the last 5-6 weeks of the season. And then these 2 reunion episodes. I'm like, what's going on? What the hell's going on with you and Heather? What did you guys drink in London? Like, what the fuck? What happened to you two? I don't like it. And look, there's always a way back for Emily. Like, there's always a way to gain the favor of the audience again. It's just the same with Heather. It's just been such a bizarre 180. I don't know if that's Tamra. I don't know if it's Alexis. I don't know who it is. At least Emily goes back after Alexis finally. So like that I can move on from. But it's been very strange to watch. And she takes it a step further here where she's like, she calls out Matt, Katie's husband, for avoiding Ryan and the dude that's about to go to jail for 18 years. It's like, yeah, understandably so. Matt didn't want to get caught up with them because he's around professional athletes all the time. He's around golf all the time. It's probably not a great look to be in cahoots with just what's the other dude's name is Matt too, right?
Yeah.
Matthew. Yeah. Probably just avoiding him. I'm sure if Ryan was there solo, I think it would have been a different story. But he's around the guy that's about to get pinched for like 18 years in federal prison. So yeah, let's steer clear from the sports betting guy because I work in sports. Makes total sense to me. And I think that Heather, honestly, go ahead.
Well, I honestly, I couldn't tell if she was using that to bring Matt's lack of involvement or just not being around it to like further her point. No, I thought she was trying to further her point and trying to prove like, yeah, but
Ryan's sketchy.
But she did it in a weird way where, yeah, like you don't have to do that. Like we're I feel like we were past it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, you know what? You can dig deeper into, obviously, we're going to go right into Jen's finances right after this. But if you're going to sit there and just stand there and say, you need to stop standing by your man, just keep it at that and don't keep digging deeper because we just did that last week. We just had done that. And why are you still going at this point? And I guess we saw Emily, the lawyer, pop back in last week. And that's kind of the mindset that she's in, where she's just trying to hammer this home. Like, I know what's going on. And what did she say in this episode? I did all that reading on it. So I know what I'm talking about. It's like, but what were you reading? Like blogging stuff? Like,
we don't know.
Do you know? Like, you weren't reading.
Like, did you get the case files? Like, what do you exactly? You're reading blogs and you're reading the same shit that we're all privy to. And again, it comes down to this. And what Heather says, like, that should have been all that was said.
Mm-hmm.
There's things about this dude that concern us, and we're concerned for you, especially in the vulnerable state that you're in with your life. Fine. Great. That makes up for the questioning. That makes up for them digging deep all the time. Leave it at that. And then after that comment, be like, but at the end of the day, you're a grown-up. You might not have your shit together. You're working on getting your shit together, but she is. She can make her own decisions. So it was such a weird thing to keep hammering home, and it doesn't go away. I mean, this is just the intro. And then we move on immediately to the cease and desist that Ryan gave to Tamra because she went on Watch What Happens Live and spewed some nonsense. Because you can't say that somebody's stealing $16 million when that's not what the charges are against them. Let's go back. What Ryan was allegedly doing was the middleman for the account. His account was where Matthew, this other dude, put the money in that he was getting from Shohei Ohtani's translator. So that's his involvement. And the most important thing, and I will repeat it every time, we agree there's some shady stuff about Ryan. However, he was given full immunity to this thing. Therefore, he's not implicated. He's no longer a part of whatever charge this is. If he ever was a part of it at all, we don't know. What we do know, he's got immunity. So when Jen goes on to say, like, nothing's coming from this, she's correct. He's got immunity. He can't get charged in this. So the fact that we keep hitting that point, and it's like, why are we still talking about it then? Because he's not getting charged. So you have no legs to stand on. You can say he's sketchy. You can say he's shady. We're concerned about that. Fine. Heather did that already. Put it to bed. But we're not going to. We can't put it to bed. Because with Tamra saying that she butchered on Watch What Happens Live,
That's
No, you
bullshit.
didn't. No, you didn't.
But
You
you know
knew
what?
exactly what you
And
said.
look, we're not even going to make this about Tamra. Everybody knows, everybody that listens to our episodes knows exactly how we feel about Tamra.
Right,
If
Ryan?
any housewife said this, I wouldn't believe them. There's
Right.
just no way. You told me essentially that you would have rehearsed it and then came up and said something completely different. What you told us on this episode that you meant to say was so far from what you actually said. And
Yep.
yeah, at the end of the day, if we are going to try to like maybe try to see it your way, it's called a Freudian slip. You threw in there what you actually believe. And that is
Mhm.
the problem. You thought that you actually believed this and wanted to take a dig at him. And right afterwards, everybody said to you, hey, that was a really dumb move because he can now sue you. He can throw like some sort of lawsuit your way, at the very least, a cease and desist. And she said that even Eddie called her out and said, no, that's not what you said. You said specifically Ryan was involved. And she's like, oh, did I? Did I do that? It's like, you know what
you
you
did.
did. You just got caught and didn't realize how stupid you were by doing that. It would have been for every housewife. It's not just Tamara. If anybody else said this, we would believe that.
I agree. And she tries to make up for the FBI thing and the FBI hat and all of the nonsense that she was doing after the fact. I guess that wasn't after Watch What Happens Live, but you keep hammering it home time and time again. And her defense is the same as it is always. Well, you said this. You were going after, he was saying that Eddie was gay and calling him my beard. And there's like a hashtag beard at the end of some shit that Ryan posted. And Jen points out, well, yeah, like you guys keep coming at him. At some point, he's going to stand up for himself. She's like, Eddie never said anything. Yes, he did, because we watched him say it on TV. We watched it last season when he was talking shit about Ryan. We watched it this season. He's talking shit about Ryan. This is what drives me nuts about Tamra. There is evidence. There's always evidence to what you're doing. And people that say that she's not a liar, like one of our beloved fans, one of our beloved audience members who we love dearly, you know who you are, claims that she doesn't lie, but it's like we see over and over again instances where she lies. This is one of them. Eddie talks shit, so Ryan got involved. What do you expect? Of course, he's going to defend himself at some point. And the best part, and this is like Jen came to play, like she's so on, she's just on because her response to Tamara was like, "Well, you cheated on your first husband. Does Eddie think that you're a bad person because of that? Because you keep saying that?" She's like, "No, that's different." No, that's the same thing that you're holding against Ryan, is the fact that he would cheat or have sex with people that were married. You cheated. So does that mean that people can't change? And again, we have to sit here week after week and defend Ryan to the point that people on YouTube are saying you have a Ryan bias. We don't. We know that there's shady shit there. We don't think it's a good idea that Jen's moving in with this guy. We don't think that this is going to turn out well. We hope it does because we love Jen, but obviously there's a bunch of red flags. But we have to sit here and take this stance because it's just flat out lies. It's flat out lies. It makes total sense to me that Ryan's going to come to his own defense, especially when Eddie, the husband, is talking shit. That's an easy one. If you were talking shit about me, I would talk shit about you. That's what happened. It's also not that deep because you spew nonsense all the time. That's all that happened in return. It can just be tit for tat and leave it there. But for whatever reason, if you go after Tamara or Eddie, then it's deeper. For whatever reason, it hits harder. For whatever reason, that's off limits. But you can say whatever, whenever, about whomever with no repercussions, according to you. But the chickens have finally come home to roost. People are crawling out of the woodwork, calling out Tamra. People are holding her to the fire finally, and it's not going well. That's why this whole reunion is one half of the room against the other. And literally everybody watching, except for Ryan Stoneman, are cheering for the left side of the room. And the right side is just floundering. They're doing terribly.
They're doing terribly, and they have a game plan, and it is one of the worst game plans I've ever seen. It is some sort of crossbreed of being terribly mean with trying to sound like a smart lawyer while also having Tamra there, and we all know what she is.
And
so
digging up anything you can find from their past.
Picking up anything you can. And I like that Jen goes down this road because, look, as everybody started to point out on the left-hand side, when Tamra goes low, it is venom. She starts spewing absolute hatred at you because she never thinks about the repercussions. And Jen bringing up that Eddie that night supposedly slept in a different room, slept in a different house, went completely away from you.
He slept in the casita.
And all Tamara can say is, oh, I don't remember that. Maybe he did. Maybe he slept on the couch. I don't know. I don't remember. Well, you know what? You just got called out for it. And I don't like the I don't remember answer, especially when you were absolutely blackout drunk that night, spewing a ton of fucking shit. But you were going after Shannon half of the fucking season for doing exactly that. So it's insane to me that she can be this hypocritical and just think that, you know what, it doesn't really matter what I do. Everybody just sees me as a reality TV star. I can move on with my life. Nothing I do has any implications. It's
no repercussions, like there's zero repercussions for me. But the best part is that the left side of the room, they've all been talking. They're all cool. They've hashed things out. They've hashed things out that they've had issues with each other with, such as they bring up the background check. Well, Shannon was involved too. And Gina's like, yeah, but she apologized. And I believed her about her apology because she took accountability for it. And Emily, like, this is where they're doing themselves no favors. Emily's like, well, yeah, because I told you to. It's like, you mentioned that she could have been in the wrong. She agreed with you. You did not hold her hand and walk her up to Gina and say sorry. Shannon took that upon herself. Tamra hasn't done that. Tamra's never done that. Tamra does it when she's at the reunion and she gets called out for lying. And then, like, last chance, she goes, oh, I'm sorry. That's not the same thing. Shannon did it herself during the season. When it came up, she was like, shit, that's my bad. And she's taken accountability for a lot of things. And that's where it gets frustrating for me watching all this transpire. Because anybody, even people, because we get comments where like, oh, I can't believe you believe Shannon, this, that, and the other thing. Look, does she have shortcomings? Absolutely. Have we watched her take accountability for multiple things this season, especially with Gina, when she came to terms with, oh my God, now I know what you went through. I'm such an idiot. I'm sorry for so many things. She did all that. So that's what we're watching. That's how we're going to comment on it. It doesn't mean that doesn't have flaws. But if you're going to compare her to Tamra, they're incomparable. You cannot. They're not the same thing. It's not the same situation. One side's doing their part to make things better. The other side is using those things that have been made better. Shannon has apologized. Gina accepted it, and you still try to use it as ammo, and it falls flat because both Gina and Shannon are like, oh, no, actually, we're pretty tight. Like, we're totally fine. You're not, but we are. And it's entertaining as shit because every single thing they throw out just gets knocked down by the other side of the room. It's like, nope.
We've moved past it. And that's the thing too, where people will point that out all the time, be like, especially the ones who are saying, like, why do you believe Shannon? In the realm of housewives, if there's an authentic apology out there where somebody's taking responsibility for their own actions and they wholeheartedly apologize, don't they forgive them and move on immediately? Every single time that we see it, when it's actually a genuine apology. So why wouldn't we? If we see Shannon apologize, we saw Shannon early in the season take responsibility for her DUI. We saw a lot of things from Shannon this year that we hadn't seen in the past. We saw a lot of good things moving forward for Shannon and a lot of good actions. You know what? That's more than we've ever seen from the right side. It's way more than we've ever seen from Tamra that we ever will see. Tamra could start today apologizing for all the shitty things that she's done on her housewife's career, and it would still not be enough for me. It just
I wouldn't believe her.
No, first off, we wouldn't believe her, but also that's how this works. If you apologize and it's genuine, they believe you. So why wouldn't we?
Exactly. And especially here at the Brav Bros, we like to comment on what we see. We will take into account online feuds, Twitter battles, like evidence coming out to the contrary. We'll take that into account. But when you break down these shows as to who you're siding with or whatever, we watch the same thing you watch. It's just we take certain things and say, okay, that seems reasonable. I'm going to go with that for now. And the best part is, and I think that our audience can attest to this, if we're presented with different information, we will do a 180 immediately. We don't give a shit. We'll skewer anybody. If you're an asshole one week and you're cool the next, we'll be like, all right, cool. If you're cool one week and an asshole the next, we will call you out every single time. That's what we pride ourselves on.
And then we'll laugh at our past selves for believing it.
Correct. And call ourselves idiots because we are, but we're lovable idiots.
That's called responsibility.
Is it? Are we responsible?
We're responsible, yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that. Ryan said that we were professional tonight.
Professional, I know.
He said we were very professional. I had to laugh. I think we both laughed. I think we said thanks with a big chuckle. But it keeps going with Tamra and Jen, and a very good point is made. So many people would rather be by your side than against you, and that's what we have seen season after season. That's why we saw Jen in the beginning of this season seemingly make up with Tamra, because she didn't. Maybe that was the root of it. I don't want to go against you for another year. I can't handle that because you're too fucking mean. So people side with her, and Heather tries to speak up, and Jen's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You said you were a historical friend. A historical friend. And she's like, I did not say that. We are friends. And she's like, no, you're not. You told me that. And Heather's like, I don't talk like that. I was like, you are the only one that would say that. Nobody else would say historical friend, but Heather Dubrow, you would say that. That sounds like it came out of your mouth. I also have not yet seen Jen lie. And she has copped to being dumb in a lot of aspects of her life as far as finances, and fumbling the bag along the way, making mistakes and taking ownership for it, and trying to get better, trying to be better, trying to grow up a little bit. I'm not calling her dumb. I'm saying there was dumb actions, and she said that. So again, that's what we're presented with. So when she speaks and says, this is what happened, I'm inclined to believe that that's what happened, especially when it's something so specific as historical friend, implying you're only friends because of the show. 1000% believe that that came out of Heather Dubrow's mouth. And she gets so goddamn defensive about everything. I'm like, oh, you definitely said that. Because every time you get caught, you're like, oh, that's disgusting. And you turn your nose up and you act like it's this whole big deal when it's really not. All you have to say is like, yeah.
It immediately calls into question what we've been questioning for weeks now. Why are you aligning with Tamra? Because if you did say historical friend to Jen, then that means the only reason that you would be friends with Tamra in those last couple of weeks, which was bizarre for us to watch, is because you had an ulterior motive. So that immediately calls all of that into question. You can't then sit there and say, no, she's a friend when you had said that before. And now we're going to look at that and say, well, what were you trying to do? Take down Katie? For what? Like, none of it makes any sense. And it's insane to me that Heather has gone this far. And we talked about it on Ryan's show too. She's Heather Dubrow. That's all you have to do. It is the easiest. It might be the easiest role. It's like a relief pitcher. That's all you have to do. You got pitch like an inning here and there and do whatever. Or what is it? No, backup quarterback is probably the easiest one.
That's
right?
a better one.
Yeah. I don't know where it's been a long night. Backup quarterback. You don't really have to do a whole lot. You just got to do your own thing. You got to show up to all the team meetings and stuff, and people will just always clamor for you when the starting quarterback's not doing that well. Heather Dubrow could just float into each season, just be herself, not have to mix it up with anybody, not have to go after anybody or do any organized takedowns or be as nasty as Tamra. You just get to live off of being you. It is so
Don't get dragged into the dirt.
And now you're doing that for whatever reason. You don't have to.
It's very strange. It's very strange. And if like moments like this make it impossible to believe Tamra, because allegedly she's starting therapy the next day, even though we find out, I don't know, a month or two later after this was filmed, that she allegedly went to her first therapy session and got diagnosed on the spectrum. So again, immediately, all right, well, what's true with that? Did you not go to therapy that day? And for her to say something like, when everyone says you're dead, it's time to lie down, then do it. Like, that's the thing. And I think the only path to redemption is like, okay, then actually do that and be vulnerable and show that process. Show you actually giving in and admitting, I've been a pretty mean person to pretty much everybody, burned every bridge I've ever had, and it's not a good feeling. There is always, look at Tom Sandoval. There is always a way back. And I know there's people out there that think that Tom should get a breather now because it's been a while since Scandival. I know that you're out there. Don't deny it. You're not going to find it here, but I know you're out there. If he can come back, Tamra can come back. But you have to actually believe what you're saying and stop thinking that we're all so stupid that we believe everything you're saying, because we don't. Nobody does except for you know who. But we keep going, and we're moving on to like the London stuff, and this is where we really get into Jen's finances and Travis's balls, which I'm pumped that Travis is pumped. He's thrilled about the recognition of his,
really excited
his large
for
balls. Yeah, so good for you, Trav. Keep it up, buddy. But we get into Jen's finances because Emily speaks on, and again, this was like a road back, I thought, for her, because she starts talking about why she was so triggered by it. You know, it reminded me of my childhood. My mom would say similar things and would never follow through on it. I'm watching her do it. So I had an emotional response to it. I'm like, okay, good. Admit that. That's great. You guys can have like a kumbaya moment and move on from this. And she's like, gets back into lawyer mode, and she's like, and looking at the contract she signed, like from an attorney perspective, it's like, no, that's just from a people perspective. A very, very normal human being that's not a lawyer could look at that situation and go, maybe don't sign that lease. You don't have the finances for it. You don't have to be a lawyer to know you shouldn't sign a contract if you can't pay for it. That's not lawyer talk. That's normal people talk. That's common sense.
And also, yeah, and obviously we already talked about how the left side of the room has pretty much squashed every issue that they've had against each other the entire season. So this is again just not going to hit because Gina has moved on. Gina knows that Jen didn't willingly put her in a bad position during all of that. So we don't have to worry about any of that. I thought that this would have been a really good opportunity for Jen to once again, because I feel like the first time that she mentioned it didn't really kind of hit that hard. Bring it up again that Emily was living off of her in-laws' finances.
Yes.
That's the time to do it. If we're going to do this again, and yes, I know Andy has a whole segment breakdown about Jen's finances, so of course we're going to talk about it. The bigger thing would have probably been Heather going to the dress. You could have just gotten out of this, but Jen could have just thrown that right in your face immediately again. Like, why are we doing this again? You had already apologized and did this whole spiel about growing up with nothing. Why are we sitting here talking again about you being a lawyer, going through a lease? Why would you do that? You're doing that to Gina. You're making her look bad. Like, no, that's not going to hit either.
Gina's cool now.
I don't get where Emily's getting off on all of this. It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, because it goes a step further, because Jen's defending herself. Like, I know how to pay bills. I know when to pay my car payment. Well, I thought you're driving Ryan's car. Why do you care? Who cares? If she
Nobody
has
would
a
care if
car.
she was married and they didn't have questions about Ryan.
Correct. 100% correct. She's got a car. She says that she's paying for it. She took over the payments. I don't know if that's true or not. What I do know is the car has not been repossessed. So somebody's paying for it. So who gives a shit? Who cares about the dress? Who cares? She didn't pay for it. But that's the next topic of conversation, because Heather's like, look, we had this whole, and this shed a little bit of light on it. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting to know. She had a conversation with Jen before the season about finances, trying to help her out. All right. So that makes sense why you might have been a little bit more invested in these decisions. Great. When she buys the dress, I'm thinking about myself. If I was walking through the store and saw the dress and knew the situation, I would check the price tag.
Yep.
I think we all would, right? So whether you want to say that's gossipy or mean girl, whatever, I know what Katie's trying to do. She's trying to go after Heather a little bit.
Katie should stay out of this one.
Yeah, I agree, because it is gossipy. I don't know if it's mean girlish or not. Yeah, it comes off that way a little bit because they're still questioning the finances, but at the same time, Heather has a backstory that I believe that conversation happened. So if she's seeing her spend large amounts of money, and also even if honestly that wasn't the situation, like if you walked in and you wore a sweatshirt or something really nice and I was like, what is that? That's really cool. And I saw it at the store, I'd probably check the price tag. Sorry. Like, I think we all like
my Ed Hardy sweatshirts.
Yeah, I would check your jean jacket, your bedazzled jean jacket.
Yeah.
Be like, how much did he spend on this stupid shit? But
I
don't
bet he's
think
getting his underwear tailored too.
Yeah, you weirdo. But I don't think that's damning evidence. And for them on the right side to say, like, we all do that. I was like, the first time I've agreed with the right side of the room. But we learn more about Jen's situation with her ex. Like, she's supposed to get like a lump sum of $200K and $6,000 a month in child support. It's a lot of money, and she hasn't gotten it yet. It's going to be a complicated situation. Thank God we have a lawyer in the room to explain it to us.
Were you just as confused as I was? Because last time I checked, he was working on like her parents' farm,
family's ranch, and now he lives there.
Yeah, wasn't he the guy who like tested the cow milk before they sent it out or something? He was the other guy.
He worked at the family ranch.
I was joking.
But the way that they talk about it, but he didn't anymore. I knew he didn't work there anymore for this whole season.
I didn't know he was a lawyer. I had no idea.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
But he owes her a lot of money and he's not paying for the time being. But she's also, at no point in this season has she defamed the guy. Like, she's been fairly respectful every time she brings it up. She's just talking about the details of it. This is what I'm owed. This is what I haven't gotten. This is why I got the house. This is why I couldn't pay the lease. Like, all of that stuff makes sense. Emily needs to stop butting in. Well, this is going to be a long battle, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, dude. Duh. because she hasn't gotten paid yet. Like, obviously, and it's a lot of fucking money, and he doesn't seem to have it. It's going to be messy for a while. Thank you for letting us know from a lawyer standpoint, a patent lawyer standpoint, how this works. Like, it would do the right side of the room so many favors to just stay out of certain situations. Jen was asked about her finances. Jen is explaining her finances. She knows what's going on as far as what she's owed and when it's coming and what has not been paid yet. Emily, you're not involved in this situation. We don't need your 2 cents. It doesn't make sense. And I don't get why she has to force herself into every single topic when it doesn't have anything to do with her.
Well, I think that the finances did have something to do with Emily just because of what she did during the season. And you can go about that really however you want to. Apologize. You can say, I was a little too hard on you. Yes, we had a little breakdown. What's going on now? Because obviously you do need to be drawn in. That's how the reunion works anyway. But her going back to the lawyer talk is got to be the most annoying trope of this reunion. And no, don't get me wrong. It is a very good reunion and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But her always interjecting and talking from this like high and mighty place because you understand the law and because you were reading articles on something, I just don't understand it. And even when she's talking about Jen getting money from her ex, she's putting stank on it. Like talking almost as if Jen is doing something wrong by not getting money. Did you go and talk to him? Yes, I actually did go and talk to him and he wanted nothing to fucking do with me, which, you know, you can read like further into that. We just both agreed that she didn't defame him at all, but she did put the whole story pretty much out there. So, you know, I kind of get that part of it, but he's a deadbeat dad that's not paying child support.
Whoa.
What?
We don't know. We don't know the situation. I don't want to call him a deadbeat. I don't know how he is with the kids. The one kid wants to stay with him. Maybe he's trying to get his finances together. I don't want to call him a deadbeat.
I don't know.
That's a heavy term to throw around.
It is a heavy term. It's a heavy term. I got carried away. What do you want from me?
I know. That's why I reeled you in, dude. I reeled you in a little bit.
Reel me in a little bit.
I'm not reprimanding.
You know what? I'm not going after him. I'm going after Emily. So
I know. Don't get sidetracked.
You're right. I should go back to Emily. You saw that too, though. You felt like she was putting a little stank on it, as if Jen was doing something wrong. It doesn't make sense. Like, even when you're explaining something that Jen is going through from a very generalized standpoint because you understand law and you're putting stank on it. It just makes you look so bad. It makes you look like an asshole.
Period. That's it. But we check in with Gina and Travis. They're doing well. They see each other every day. You know, this whole thing is much deeper than they even got into in the season. And it gets to the point where like the kids were seeing stuff at the house with the ex, and the ex seems to be the common denominator of all of their problems. And it's a bummer because, you know, Gina doesn't think it's ever going to go away. It's going to be a constant in their lives. And her and Travis, whatever you want to say about them, yes, it's a weird dynamic that they're not living together. They do seem to care about each other. Yeah. Travis seems very, very upset about this whole situation. So hopefully they can figure it out. But we get a breather. Little break, hit the trailers, take a lunch, let's get Alexis ready to come in here. And Tamra goes into her trailer. And even Tamra says to Alexis, don't go in there and be Johnny J's voice. And what does Alexis say? Well, he's not here to defend himself, so if they bring it up, I got to defend him. No, you don't. No, you don't.
If they bring it up. I thought that was the funniest thing ever. If they bring it up, I have to defend them. No, they're going to bring it up, obviously, because you made it such a huge storyline of the entire season. It was practically the only thing that you did. And that is going to be talked about. So yes, you are going to have to do that. I thought that this was very odd. This was a very interesting interaction between Alexis and Tamra, because all season we saw Tamra being her friend. Tamra was almost basically buddying with her with the proof in the pudding and high fives and weird shit that we didn't understand because you too got sued by her and her ex. So we don't understand why you're treating her like she's a friend, a close friend.
They squashed it at BravoCon.
Yeah, supposedly. But I thought that this was a very weird interaction, that Tamra usually doesn't do this. And she was stopping instead of just talking over her. She was just stopping and letting Alexis talk. And she seemed disinterested. It was the first note that I took, or the first mental note that I took about this whole thing, because as we saw later, nobody's part team Alexis at this point. So something may have changed, whether it's the perspective of the season, looking back and saying, wow, I do look like an asshole. Maybe it was from the first part of the reunion where you got crushed during the whole Shannon thing, and Shannon said that she's completely done with you. I don't know what it was, but Tamra just looked a lot different here than we saw all season. So I was very very interested in this one.
No, that's a really good point. It's a really good point. But we move on to the fashion show and Heather's gross comment about the dress being tight on Emily and why Emily had such a visceral reaction to the whole thing, which of course, like we feel for her there. Like even if she's having a shitty reunion and end of the season, like, yeah, that sucked. And it was tough to watch. And I understand where she's coming from. But her whole thing, like that right side of the room is just so quick to forgive everybody. And yet you hold everyone else to such a high standard. It makes no sense. It's like she did say something really mean about you, and maybe it was out of character, but at the same time, she said it. And had somebody else said that, if Jen had said that, if Katie had fucking said that, like it would be World War III. But instead, Heather said it, so it's like, oh no, it's okay. Like we worked through it. It's not a big deal. It's like, no, that was fucking mean. Just because they're showing the clip and Heather goes, sorry, by the way, again.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, like that doesn't do anything.
My bad.
That my B shouldn't have said that. No, if you're going to go after the other side of the room for shit you're not even involved in, this one actually involves you, and yet you don't want to get into it with Heather. Question her more. Really get it through her head why you're upset, and she explains it. And Heather's very quick to be like, let's run it. It's like when you hit your brother when you're kids and you hit him too hard, you're like, you're fine, right? Don't go to like that's what it felt like. She's like, let's roll the clip of her being mean to me now because it's funny. She said some funny stuff. It's like that. It's not playing well. I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to cover up your tracks. You're trying to make up for being extremely rude about one of Emily's biggest insecurities on TV. Like that was a mean fucking dig, and Emily lets her go like that. Like, there's not even any pushback in the moment, and it goes to the kids thing again. And we've talked about this so many times. The kids thing needs to not be an issue, and it gets a step further because Emily's like, my kids would never say that. I would never talk in front of them. Emily's nanny has come out of the woodwork and said that she has heard Emily talking shit in front of the kids. The kids have heard Emily talking shit about Heather.
Of course.
The biggest thing here, we talked about it with Ryan. All of these women, everybody on the planet goes home and has a vent session sometimes. It doesn't mean you hate the person you're venting about. It might have just been an off night. There's no telling. But that's not grounds for this big of an issue. And they keep going after Katie. And then it goes a step further because, I mean, this is a tough look for Kylie going on TikTok, and she was doing, a voiceover about a bunch of bitches who suck dick or whatever in regards to the right side of the room. Great look? No. Should she have done that? No. Is she a 20-year-old on social media that made a stupid decision? Yes. Is that grounds for everybody, including Shannon, to jump in and be like, my kid would never, I can't believe that. Heather's like, that's disgusting. She's going out in the public eye and smearing my name. She's a 20-year-old on TikTok, Heather. Relax. If you're that knocked back by this shit, it's disgusting. Relax. It's a mistake. And she's not standing by it. She's like, I didn't really know what to do with it. So I called people. I will say Katie's response to it wasn't awesome. She should have been like, yeah, that was bad. And she did say that was bad, but she also was like, I didn't really know what to do. It's like, no, you say, hey, don't fucking do that. What are you doing? What the hell's the matter with you? But it was like everybody saw an opportunity to jump in and be like, that's not how you parent. Well, I hope that you are perfect fucking parents 24/7, 365. I hope your kids never make a stupid mistake and this can't be thrown back in your face because, again, she's 20 on social media. Okay. I've got 3 younger sisters. They do stupid shit online sometimes. Shit happens. You teach them, you move on. You don't take a chance for everyone in the room to be like, you're a bad mom. Everyone calm down.
I thought that it was incredible when Emily shouted out, she's going to do that on social media and she's going to sully my name. What do you do on these shows? You rip people apart. Look to your right. Look at Tamra. She does that to every single person that she's ever been on a show with. And it's also on TV. Everybody gets to see it. And then
her
they make
podcast.
Clips. And her podcast. And then they make clips about it and put it on TikTok and Instagram. So everybody's going to end up seeing something like that. But because it's under the guise of we're on a TV show and we have to do this, it's completely different. Again, not excusing Kaylee's behavior because I feel like that was a really bad move. And
tough move.
But I did really appreciate Katie at the end of it saying, look, I told her that I'm going to eat shit for this. And you just put me in this position. And there's not a whole lot that I could do about that. Yeah, try to figure it out. But it's your first season on. The funniest part about this was I did not peg her daughter for that type of person.
No, it was funny
at all.
though.
We're like,
It's a
she just
funny
seems like this
TikTok.
like sweet kid. She's like 19, 20 years old, whatever. Like, she probably didn't say anything to Emily's friends. It's probably just Emily talking at home. Both can be true, by the way. Maybe she did say something to the 8-year-old. Who the hell knows?
Cue the TikTok, by the way. Bunch of bitches to suck dick. I was like, that's kind of damning, but funny. But the best part to me is how rattled they are by it. Like, why there are so many TikToks out there that are talking shit about everybody in the room. Whatever you want to find, it's out there to find. But for them to be like, your daughter has a problem with us. Why do you care what a 20-year-old thinks? Why does that bother you so much that her daughter has a problem with you when you in turn have a problem with her mom? Of course she has a problem with you. Emily, Heather, I bet your kids don't like Katie because you don't like Katie. So why would Katie's daughter like you when, yes, there's venting going on because you're venting at home as well, and maybe somebody overhears it. I'm not excusing her behavior. I'm not excusing the TikTok. But at the same time, the fact that it got this far into their heads and is living this rent-free in their heads is very funny to me.
The funniest part, which I just remembered now, was Tamra interjecting. Sophia saw that and she thought it was disgusting. Like 15 minutes after she said that Sophia texted her a bunch of times and she didn't respond. And she's like, oh yeah, Kaylee's just kind of like that. She doesn't respond to me half the time.
Yeah, like, I love that Tamra tried to throw shade there. Like, you kind of didn't even answer text messages. It's like, we don't care, man. We do not care about Sophia and Kylie's relationship.
We don't care if you guys were able to make friends out of 2 people. Like, they're kids.
It's of no consequence to us or this show. It really does not matter. Like that. You're such a funny one-off. I'm like, shush. That's not worth our time. We have way more to. Alexis just came out. We need to talk about that. Not this. God. Not a text message. But with that being said, and I'm glad Andy shut it down because the kids thing is only going to get worse and worse. People are going to start pointing fingers at motherhood and who's a better mom, and that's never a good place to be. So Andy says we've done enough. We've talked about it enough. Let's move on. And we get to Alexis finally, and I'll always give props for certain things. The fact that her kids are amongst the LGBTQ community, that she speaks out about it. Her and Heather have found common ground on that. We know that Heather does a lot for that community as well. I'm always going to shout out things like that. That's not something I'll knock Alexis for by any means. And that's like what is it? Like you say something nice before you say something mean. What do you call that?
Backhanded compliment?
No, that's a different thing. But I'm saying a nice thing because the rest of this, I'm just going to shit on her. But this is where we find out that Alexis and Tamra squashed their beef at BravoCon somehow. And we get into the lawsuit, the current lawsuit, not the previous lawsuit, which we're also going to talk about tonight, but the current lawsuit with Shannon. And the fact that she offered the $70,000, the total was lowered from 75 to 70. She offered it as long as they signed a non-disparagement clause, which makes so much sense to me. And if you don't want to sign that, it's because you want this to continue to be in the public eye. That's all that I can figure from this, because here's your money, John, and you don't want to be in the limelight. Here's your money. By the way, this clause says that neither of you can talk shit. That's what it does. It wipes it clean. No one's talking. And also, you're not going to vindicate yourself, John, and exonerate your name by talking more. And that's what he doesn't seem to get. He wants the opportunity to speak on his own behalf. But even if he comes out like a choir boy and shows us all the money he's donating to charity, I'm still going to think you're a big piece of shit because of everything you've said throughout this entire season, how you've handled the Shannon lawsuit. The fact that you were offered this deal and didn't take it tells me everything I need to know about both you and Alexis. It could have been done. This could have been the end of it. But instead, it gets taken so much further to the videos thing. And Alexis's response is, I didn't mean for that to come out. You mentioned it in multiple scenes. It wasn't a one-off. If it was a one-off, maybe you can hold on to that I didn't mean to let it slip. You talked about it multiple times in multiple different settings with multiple different people. That tells me this was a plan, probably from Johnny J himself.
How did you like the disclaimer that she threw out there that it wasn't extortion?
She brought it up. I was like, you're admitting it. She goes, that's not extortion, by the way. No one said extortion yet for the entire 2 episodes until you came out.
Sure. But yeah.
No, I'm talking about these 2 reunion episodes. No one has mentioned the words extortion. until she comes out and goes, by the way, not extortion. It's like, that sounds a lot like extortion to me.
I got caught up in the moment and I had a lot going on, guys. I really did have a lot going on and I didn't mean to do that. Then why did you talk about it 4 times before you actually did do it? And then told everybody in the group in separate ways that was your agenda. That is what you came up there to do. That's all you wanted to do. That's the only thing that you wanted to get across, was to extort her into paying the money and not signing a non-disparagement. That was your goal. And you thought that by bringing that up, it was going to make Shannon feel like she was in such a bad place that she would have no other choice but to do that because the world was crumbling around her. Instead, she stood tall. Instead, everybody saw you guys for the snakes and pieces of shits that you are. And that is what came of this. So you don't get to just throw a little disclaimer out there and say that wasn't extortion, by the way, because by code, that was. And what the fuck's up with your friends over there? Well, Emily was not her friend, first off. But a lawyer should have stepped in and said, well, it kind of is a little extorty.
It sounds an awful lot extorty to me. I'll tell you what. As a patent lawyer, that sounds pretty extorty. I'm not an extortionist, but that sounds extortiony.
But Shannon was absolutely ready for this, though, which I loved to see. Yeah. She was completely teed up. She saved all of her energy for that. She didn't waste any energy on Tamra earlier so that she had the energy for this. And I loved every second of it because that stupid fucking line about there's the door, Shannon, the door, just rip her down right away. What did you do? You said that between the mirror and Johnny J so you could throw it back in my face. There wasn't even a door over there. Everybody was immediately laughing at that. And you could tell right away Alexis was uneasy and nobody was on her side. And I could not wait to keep going because once Shannon got that first laugh, you know what it's like. You go to a comedy show, you get a good laugh, you are rolling.
That's all you need. The one, it opens the door for the rest of them. And Alexis sold herself out already as being John's mouthpiece because she literally repeats what he said verbatim. You have an interesting relationship with the truth. And I'm glad that the room calls it out. It's like, whoa, that's what John said. Literally what he said. So you're just repeating what he said because you guys definitely had a meeting before this. This is how we're going to handle it. This is what I want you to say. And we know that because Shannon used to do the same shit with Johnny J. So there's no way you can defend that. We know what's going on. And as Shannon starts to just undress her, like she is giving her the business I'm so glad she didn't waste it on Tamra. I'm glad she saved it for Alexis because that's who she needed to give it to. And she brings up the text. It clearly shows that you were involved. It says we. Andy even says it's a smoking gun. There's no denying it says we in there. She goes, yeah, but that's not, my name's not on the legal documents, not on the legal documents. It's like, you said you had nothing to do with this. We have the first implication of this lawsuit comes from your phone. You sent it from your phone number and said, we, Jim Bellino and we. So you have no, and this is what Ryan was talking about earlier. Like it's so frustrating when we have evidence. We can see it. We can read it in this instance. There's no denying what happened. And yet you sit here and try to plead your case with Andy, who's already said, you're fucked. We saw it. Just cop to it. It'll do you much more favors than sitting here trying to defend yourself and this big piece of shit you're getting married to, allegedly. It's just not a good look.
Within the next 12 months.
Yeah, definitely within the next 12 months.
Do you have a date? Yeah, within the next 12 months.
And she says she sent that text to protect everyone and that Jim told me to. But again, it comes down to the fact that you sent it. And when Shannon goes into the explanation of that whole thing, it's so weird that Johnny J was sitting with her at the table when this shit went down. And as they're sitting there, shit went south. Jim Bellino got nasty. Shannon steps up and goes, fuck you. We're not settling. Takes it to court. And wins this whole thing. And even in the face of defeat, she's like, well, I bet you wish you sell it because you spent $500,000. Fuck that. I'm spending $500,000 just to beat you. I'm in the same boat. I will spend that money just so I can say you lost. You're a loser. This was stupid and you're wrong. And also, look how Shannon's doing. She's doing fine. She is figuring it out. She had a really tough year and she came out on top. She is now a fan favorite against all odds, especially after it ended last year, especially with the DUI shit. She found her way back into our good graces. You came back on TV after a 10-year hiatus, although you claim to have been a TV star for 15 years. You've been on 5 different shows. You've been on 1 episode of multiple TV shows. That's it. And it's all weird shit. Below Deck, Another one where you're like a reality, like somebody on some fake ass TV show. Like, you're not a TV star. You're not a household name. Only people from this franchise know who you are. People from Bravo know who you are. And you are not like less people probably know who Alexis Bellino is, and they probably know who Jesus Jugs is. Like that. If you say Jesus Jugs, a lot of people are like, oh yeah. If you say Alexis Bellino, they go, no, don't know who that is. So
doesn't ring a bell.
You're not a household name. You're a fucking nobody. And Shannon saved the best like haymaker for last. She goes, I came on this show and took your job 10 years ago, and I'm still here. You're a friend of. Isn't your time up yet? I was like,
damn. My favorite part about that whole interaction was Andy's role, actually, because Alexis is going on and on, just spewing lies and trying to skate her way out of that. Andy wasn't even paying attention to her. He was talking to Shannon. He even stopped and I guess there was a little bit of concern in there, but he looked at Shannon and said, hey, didn't you get sued for that? Maybe you shouldn't say it. And Shannon goes, I won. And he goes, oh, did you win? And they're like sharing a laugh while Alexis is still droning on and on about shit that nobody cares about. And at the end, when Shannon hits her with that haymaker, just talking about, hey, you're a friend of, isn't your time up yet? Even Andy laughed at that one.
Everybody laughed.
Everybody is against her right now. It is incredible. It is the best turn of events. I know that we didn't quite get the Tamra takedown. We didn't get everybody going after her. But the fact that not one person stood up and tried to defend Alexis during any of this, and that Emily was even trying to go against her and using a little bit of lawyer intellect there, I'm going to let her go on this one because I support it. Talking about how, yeah, you were an interested party. Well, it's because I was just a wife. It's like, you're still part of it though. Like you can't say I wasn't part of any of it and then say, yeah, my name is actually on court documents because you're an interested party. That's not like she was just caught in every single lie that she came up there to spew. She got caught in every single one. And Shannon had such a carefree attitude. It was incredible.
I mean, yeah, it was just watching. It was such a clusterfuck on Alexis's part. She looked awful in it. Like, she did not have any ground to stand on. Everybody's again. Like, no one stood up for her. No one had her back. No one tried to support her. No one tried to do anything about it. But I mean, it just goes to show you that no one's taking her seriously. Nobody should be taking her seriously. It wasn't a serious season. She was embarrassing the entire season. Being Johnny J's mouthpiece the whole year was such a terrible look. I don't know who she thought she was defending. I don't know who she thought we think that Johnny J is. That's the big question for me. Did you think that we saw this whole thing and it's somewhere along the way we would be like, oh, you know what? Let's hear John's side of things. Because again, what we look for on these shows is what's happening on the show. We will take other things into account, like we said. But what we're seeing is a Shannon that's taking accountability, applying things she learned, and trying to be better. That's what we've watched. What we see on the other side of things is Alexis trying to throw shade wherever she can, trying to get messy. We see her speaking on Johnny J's behalf, who is a guy that claims to not want to be in the spotlight, not want to be on TV, whose life was ruined by being on TV with Shannon. And the minute he's done with that relationship, he immediately cozies up to Alexis to get back on TV when he has a chance to get out of it once again via this non-disparagement clause and $70,000. He says no. All that points to is I want to be on TV. I want to be somebody. And the person I want people to think I am is now fucked because they see who I actually am. And I need to not sign this clause so that I can come out and speak on my own behalf. But guess what, John? Every time you open your mouth, you make it worse. If you just had stayed off the camera, we would not have talked about you this year. We would not have discussed you this much. Even if Alexis came back and was speaking on your behalf and you stayed out of it, we probably would point all shade towards her. But you decided to get involved again. You decided to bring this shitstorm on yourself for no fucking reason, for no gain. You could have $70,000 and be sailing off in the sunset with your new wife. But instead, we're going to continue to talk about you as one of the worst house husbands in the history of Bravo and just a big piece of shit in general, because that's all we got from you. On the other side, the person you're trying to paint as the villain in Shannon, we've seen a story of recovery, of accountability, of setting boundaries, of trying to be better, of going up against some of the worst people we've seen on TV in a long time in Tamra's performance, Alexis's performance, Johnny J's performance, and hitting it out of the park. She never, ever stumbled. She never faltered. She had awful moments, and she still rose above it. So that's what we get when we see this. And the fact that Alexis came in like this, rather than a different plan of attack, rather than take Tamra's advice and be like, you know what, maybe I won't talk about John or speak on his behalf, because even Tamra is now telling me this is a bad idea. But she can't take any tips. She can't read the room, can't have any feel. And it just cemented her as one of the worst returnees ever. It cemented John as the worst house husband we've seen on OC since Brooks, who faked fucking cancer. You're now in that conversation, John. Good job, dude.
I don't know where the hell you mustered the energy for that little rant. I
got one more. I always have one more in me. Now I'm poop. I'm spent now, but that
I got one more.
I got one more. Now I'm done. I ain't got nothing left, man.
No, I just want to do some questions.
Now we got some questions. And then this marathon is over, baby. And what a marathon it was. Let's get this out of the way immediately. From Rachel Miklas, will you cover Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Absolutely. Airs tonight. Can't wait to watch it. Don't worry about that. From Shauna Draper 27, haven't done power rankings in a while. Will the right couch be tied for last? Let's rank the right couch.
God, it's gonna be really tough to not put Tamra last. It's gonna be really hard to not put Tamra last, but I have to. I'm gonna go Heather, Tamra, Emily,
Alexis.
She's not on the couch. She's a friend.
She counts.
Nope. Not for me. She doesn't.
She's an omission for you.
Yep.
Fine. That's fine. I'm the same, but I add Alexis at the bottom. From Eliza Vaughn 57, do you think Katie will be asked back next season? I think she's done enough. I think she deserves a round 2. Yeah. I think that she especially seeing the comeback and just her relationship with Jen in general, like that's fun to watch. I think that gives her a second season. We'll do 2 more.
General.
I can't even make puns right now. Good Lord. From Myra isn't back. What's so appealing about Tamra that they all seek her friendship and validation? I think it was said in this episode. People would rather stand with her than against her because you're going to go up against a lot of bullshit and it's not worth it.
That's pretty much what it's been the whole time. And we've said that because we've had to try to speculate on this for years now. That's the only thing we got. We have no idea what else is going on unless she has dirt on everybody and they are afraid of that coming out.
Yeah, it's just easier. You don't have to deal with all the shitstorm that comes with it. From Jennifer McKimber. Jennifer MCC MBR.
McKimber.
Sure. How amazing was Andy's response to Shannon having won the lawsuit with Jim B? It was great. It was the cherry on top of Shannon's performance. And whether you like her or not, you cannot deny that she ate this episode. She did her job. She gave Alexis the business, and that's all we needed from her. We saw her go after Tamra in episode 1. Shannon, MVP thus far, the reunion with Jen, a very close second. They're like neck and neck because Jen's performing really well, too. I think Katie is performing well. She took a step back with the TikTok of it all. But, that's tough because you're also defending your daughter, so I get it there as well. I think we can all agree. Left side of the room, delightful. Right side of the room, nightmare, disaster. Don't need it.
No better way to put it.
Yep. But we will be back with next week's. I mean, we have way more episodes coming out this week. Don't worry. But we'll be back with the finale, part 3 of this reunion, and we can say goodbye to this season, which I'm sad about because what a season it's been. What a reunion it's been. All of these ladies brought their lunch pail to work, pal. Let me tell you.
We'll always remember this.
We'll always remember where we were in what season is this? 19?
Yes, 18.
18, 19. You know. You guys know.
You guys
know.
It.
You get it. But with that, Rob Rose out here.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.